You had something in your book that jumped out at me. It's a section in part one. The title of that section is It's Your Fault, Even If It's Not. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, I
Sounds
sure
a little
can.
counterintuitive.
As a young entrepreneur, man, I used to get so upset with employees, vendors, and everybody that would do things because our crews were out and about and I'd hear about the truck crashing into a house or issues with job sites and so I would always kind of blame it on that person. And I'd go home and I'd complain to my wife about, this or that. One day somebody just said, you hired that person or you didn't maintain your truck well enough. And that's why the engine blew up. Once I realized that I could reframe everything that happened in my life as my fault, it empowered me to fix those things. It's really easy when you just complain and blame it on someone else, you just defer it. And then the same thing can happen over and over again. But if you own it and you say, how did I end up hiring this person that's working for me? And what can I do? And maybe I could have taken a little bit more care. Maybe he shouldn't be working for me anymore. And therefore I should create better systems around vetting people when I bring them on board. And therefore and so every time one of these things happened that used to just make me pull my hair out and scream at the top of my lungs, I could now look as an opportunity to create a system so it wouldn't happen again. And this has been incredibly powerful in all parts of my life, but particularly in my business.
Can you walk us through some of the radical accountability, 100% responsibility type things that you've done in your life and businesses to exemplify this concept?
I think the hiring process is certainly one of them. I have two kids. If my 12-year-old does something that upsets me, I have to remember I'm 100% responsible for raising that human being. And so I need to take a hard look at myself as where did I fail and trying to correct it and create a system and have conversations with him and just say, hey, I know that you did this and perhaps I didn't lay the framework for you to understand why that was wrong, but let's discuss it now. Because now we were empowered. And so I can do that in a lot of different parts of my life. Even an argument with my wife, how can I own it? It makes life easier. It's really counterintuitive. You'd think that if everything's my fault, then that sounds really heavy, but it's actually quite the other way around. Once you do it, you can actually just start to fix things and it's powerful.
So what's something that you fix that you find that most people don't fix?
I fixed my health is a big one. I think a lot of people don't do that. And this was more recent. I think the big epiphany after my accident was all kinds of ways to fix my business. And I did that very successfully. But those same lessons I didn't necessarily apply to myself. So I was about 50 pounds overweight and I just wasn't very healthy. And therefore I didn't feel great. So I decided this was my fault. I could blame it on the food system. And I could blame it on that I just, don't have time to go to the gym because I have a family. And I could blame it on all kinds of other things. Or I could just own it and say, okay, those are your fault. So what can you do about it? And so I ordered a meal delivery service to come in and bring me my food because I couldn't be trusted with my refrigerator. I got a tonal and stuck it on my wall so that I could do a 20-minute workout anytime instead of trying to drag myself to the gym. And I go on walks. And so my health was a big one. As far as other ones, I don't know. It's so prolific in my life now, this way of thinking. It's a lot of little tiny things now that it doesn't have to be great big things anymore, because if you fix the little tiny things, then the bigger things don't seem to go wrong as much.
It reminds me of a concept I learned from the book, The Tipping Point. And it was Malcolm Gladwell explaining how the mayor of New York City cleaned up the city by, as far as crime was concerned, by stopping the turnstile jumpers and cleaning up the graffiti and the broken windows. Because if a neighborhood is covered in trash and graffiti and people are treating it like it's a worthless area, then the horrible crimes come and follow. If you apply that concept to business, for example, let's say your website, that means you're cleaning up typos, grammar errors, broken links, broken images, things that are obsolete that no longer apply. It's all just being updated and cleaned up. And that is indicative of the quality of everything you do. You're a reflection of that level of care and attention with everything. And that could also apply to your health. That could also apply to your relationship, to your life as a member of a community, your life as a member of a family and an extended family, and so forth.
I think the little minutia pieces that people ignore are far more important than the big hallelujah amens. I'm going to train for a marathon. And so they go hardcore and they hurt their knees and their ankles, and then they get the marathon done and then they stop doing it and then they fall back into old habits. I'd much rather just say every day I'm going to go on and I'm going to walk to the end of the block. And if it ends up being more than that, it will. I mean, little incremental improvement that you do regularly on a day-to-day basis It was, for me, it was like, okay, everything that I do in my life, I want to do things that I'm willing to do every day for the rest of my life. So not that I won't do something big like a marathon, but that's not the goalpost. The goalpost is just simply to adopt good, healthy habits for me and for my business and for my family that I can do every day for the rest of my life. And it sure does simplify things, because those little things add up into very big things. Everybody overestimates what they can do in a year, but it underestimates what they can do in a decade. Those things that you do in a decade are all about pushing a little bit forward every single day consistently.